All right, welcome, welcome everybody. I believe we are live now. I am ready. Got my Star Wars shirt, my Star Wars hat, my Star Wars water bottle, all things SWCCG. And we are about to do our show for the top 25 Star Wars players, the power rankings for spring of 2023. First of all, Dan is posting in Slack that I'm apparently not live. We'll see. Dan, okay, I am live now. You can see the chat over on the screen there. Number 69, Dan Tartaglione. Dan did not clock in at number 69. I will go ahead and just give you a spoiler right now. In the spring 2023 power rankings, Dan Tartaglione finishes with 1 point, which ties him for spot number 41. Spot 41. So we won't see him at spot 69. He is 41. There's your spoiler. Dan jumping ahead. Matt Wadden is of course number 69. Hi Carl, how you doing today? Do you have a crazy day? So close to 42. I know that would be the answer, huh? Well, I mean, there was 47 people, and technically it gave 42 to Justin Miyashiro, but all of you got tied with one vote. In 25th place there was oh no, sorry, that's not total point. I suddenly realized when I said that I was looking at the number of votes. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people who just had a single voter pick them. They were on 7 different ballots, but that wasn't their total points because they didn't all slot in at 25. They came in at different points. So Miyashiro was actually in 42. Dan, you were tied for 45th. 45th. All right. Ahead of JagTech. Actually, JagTech finished 3 ahead of you. Sorry, I got your hopes up there with my my mistake looking at the number of ballots listed instead of the total points column. Sorry, I ruined your night. We're only 3 minutes into it, and we can call this a success. Yes, all right, let's get started. I mostly was just chatting for a minute or two to let people come on and join us so that they can watch live, because it is much more fun when people are chatting in the chat and we can chatting with each other and chatting with me. So I didn't want to immediately like click go live and here's number 1 and start with that. Just giving it a minute. Just hit record. I'm going to update the title. Streaming Eric versus Connor. I would love to stream a game of Eric versus Connor right now. I do have that. The title of the stream should be correct when I went live, but that text is not right. Let's update that. That is going to say Star Wars CCG Power Rankings Spring 2023. Hi, Carl. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Greg Shaw. It is a nice Yeti. This was one of the coolest swags in quite a while. Someone in the top 10 has joined the chat. Whoa, Carl pretty confident in his predictions. Carl did submit a list this time. Oh, and speaking of which, shout out to everybody, all of the judges who did submit a list. As of this morning, I gave very, very last minute notice because frankly, I just forgot about doing this poll. I was saying I was going to do it after Nationals and after the Gym PC. And then the Gym PC finished like last week sometime. And I had my kids, and then when I didn't have, when my kids went with their mom this week, I just forgot about it. I was doing other stuff, and then Batmouse mentioned it in the Star Wars chat, and I was like, oh shoot, it's already Friday when he had done that, and I was like, maybe people can do it over the weekend, and I can do a show on Monday. Otherwise, it's going to be another couple of weeks till I can. So shout out to all the judges who I gave very last minute. We only had 6 ballots as of this morning. I was like, maybe we should push it back, but we ended with 14. A bunch of people either stepped up last minute or like me were procrastinators. I had already done mine, but my typical is like procrastinate and then oh, that's due today. Let me do that now. So a bunch of people did that, and we ended with 14 ballots. So I really appreciate everyone chiming in. Grade XX in the rankings, 1 in our hearts. Yeah, thank you. All right, so let's get started. The way we are going to do the list today, and we've done it different ways depending on what I feel like is more interesting, given whatever the particular votes were. Today, what I think will be interesting is counting. We don't typically count down from 25 to 1 because the 20 to 25 range is really interesting. Also, the 10 to 15 range is usually really interesting. The 1 to 4 is less interesting, so we start with that. But today, what we're going to start with is 6. We're going to start with 6 and count down to 1. So we'll see 6 to 1. That will show everyone who got a first place vote. There were 4 different people who got a first place ballot. Or a first place spot on a ballot, and it will show what the top 6 were, and then we'll start going down from 7 all the way down to 25. It is just water today. All right, so let me get I've got some a couple different like black images, just giant black boxes blocking out the everything right now so that you can't see it. Let me do this. So starting with number 6, we have Justin Desai. Justin actually finished with the most number of first place votes, I believe. Let me double check that. He did. He had 6 first place votes. He had the most number of number 1 votes. However, he was only ranked on 11 of the 14 ballots because he is retired. So we had 3 different rankers who said, yep, I respect that. The man says he's retired. I'll take him at his word. I personally ranked him. And obviously most people did. 11 of the 14 people did choose to just ignore him and say, yeah, you're not really retired. We don't believe you. So I can't fault the ones who said, hey, you say you're retired, I'll believe you. But Desai did receive the most number of first place votes. And I ran an average of his average space among those 11. And had he received votes from those other ones in accordance with the way everyone else ranked him, he would have finished either first or second. He would have finished right around the same number of points as the person who finished in first, if he got at least somewhere around the average, which is around third place or third. Actually, you can see that right there. That column next to the 11 is how many people voted him. We don't have columns with the way I'm displaying this. I could let me see if I can figure that out real quick. I can probably, let's see, is there a way to not lock this, edit? No, it's got this locked as a square, and if I try and shrink it, it's gonna like show other parts of the, all right, whatever, we're not gonna care. For now, you'll see the columns after I reveal the, where did that go? Uh-oh. Oh, I'm moving the wrong thing. Gee willikers. That was silly of me. All right. That should be locked in. Okay. Sorry. I'm bungling everything. Here we go. All right. Whatever. It's good enough. Yeah, get a beer. 2-hour show. That's right. You wish. Get ready to go an all-nighter, 24-hour stream. Hit that like and subscribe. Hi, Ryan. I just saw it in your chat. Not active, no vote. Yeah. I mean, there was several people who thought that. I will say Justin Desai has played more games on Jump this year than I have. This year post his retirement. But he says he's retired, so that's fine. 11 or 3 people agreed. Three of the judges said that. 11 didn't believe him. But his average was better than the person who got first. So he would have been right. He would have been at first, or if those people had rated him as slightly low, he would have barely finished in first or right around there. So maybe when he comes out of retirement, more people will rank him. 1 player per hour. All right, settle in. We got a bit before number 5. Let's talk about Justin a little bit more. If this were a popularity contest, all right, let's go to number 5. So that's Justin. Justin, we all know. And then here is he fell 5 spots. He wasn't first last time. He had just won Worlds. He got second in the OCS. He fell, and obviously he fell because he has quote unquote retired. Number 5, coming in at number 5, is Bastion. Bastion fell a couple spots, mostly due to other people rising. He just hasn't played a ton, he wasn't at Worlds, which obviously it's a long trip. You don't expect anyone necessarily to have to change continents to go play a game, but he often does. He's made a number of U.S. World trips. At Euros, he made the top 8, but he got knocked out. I don't remember if he made the top 4 or top 8. He was not in the finals. That was sort of his last thing. He's played a few games in the OCS. He's not really super enjoying the game right now, from my understanding. And so he's sort of took a step back. So rankers kind of went, okay, cool. Like you're playing a little less. Maybe we drop you slightly over some people who have played more recently and are winning majors or placing highly, that sort of thing. But still, definitely, a top 5 player and quite potentially higher if he plays a little more. Number 4, we have Hayes Hunter. Hayes had 2 first place votes here. That is really annoying that you can't see the columns. Let me. There are the columns. And if I shrink this box, it's going to shrink in every dimension. I wish there were a way to not. I'm checking in the properties and. Whoa, don't look. Yeah, I don't know. All right, I give up. So I'll try and remember that next time. So basically, here are the columns. Player name, what rank they finished, the total number of points, first place votes, number of times they were listed, their average, their highest and lowest rank, and their previous rank. Carl says his first shocker, he figures Hayes would be top 2. I had him in my top 2. So I agree with you, but the other rankers did not agree. I think Hayes is a phenomenal player. Obviously, one of the best in the world, and everyone agrees. They have him as a top 4 player. I think he's even higher than that. He got, of course, a 4th at Worlds. Hayes doesn't play as much. He didn't play in San Diego. He doesn't ever play online. He play tests a little bit, but he doesn't do OCS online or any other tournaments. He doesn't do the Gym PC. So, but when he shows up to a tournament like Worlds, he gets 4th. He shows up to Nationals, he wins the event. He had been our team had been prepping for Nationals, and Hayes was just like on it all the time. He's like, who wants to play a game? He's like posting walls of text. He was just like, he was prepped for that event. And I went in and was like, I don't know how anyone's going to stop Hayes because he's playing like out of his mind. and then he won. And so yeah, he's a phenomenal player. He moves up a spot. He was in 5 last time. He got 4th now, and he got 2 first place votes. Um, he's only top 2 when it comes to height. Oh, we're gonna see Eric next. Uh, yeah, good one. All right, number 3 is Tom Struther. Tom is only online player. Hopefully someday he will attend an in-person event or many in-person events, not just one. But for now, we get to see him dominate. Most recently, he went. I think he went 11-1 in the March OCS, and then just finished in 3rd to Jeff's 12-0 and Yoshi's 11-1, and then he was the 3rd person with also an 11-1. So he still hasn't qualified for the OCS, but he has a phenomenal record. And then of course he won the Gym PC, being Mike Kessling in the finals. And a lot of people I think saw that and respected that. And in fact, 3 people voted Tom as the number 1 player in the world right now. How'd he do in the April OCS? 0-12. 0-12. It was a shocker. Yeah. So yeah. So Tom, he finished in 3rd place. He moved up 7 spots. He was top 10 last time, 10th, and now he moved up to 3rd. And 3 people, in fact, I had him. I had him in my top 5. I don't remember exactly where, but I had him in my top 4. And I think it's hard to say, if you put more weight in online stuff. The Gym PC had 100 people, so it had however many. He obviously had a bye in the first round, but around a 64-32, 16-8, 4 finals. So over the course of 6 rounds, he defeated 6 different opponents in match play, often quite convincingly. And then Hayes, of course, won nationals. So those are our last 2 sort of major events, and those are the 2 winners. He even lost to me, Mr. 22. That's right. And I think 2 of his losses, right, in the April OCS, Tom lost to Dan on both sides of it. Dan's Jawas. That was my understanding. Oh, and Tom, you have an offer. If you come to indoor this fall, Dan will pay for your entrance fee, and all it will cost you is your first place prize winnings. All right, number 2 is MHT, who also got 3 first place votes. He most recently won the Champions League in I think that finished up around January, maybe early February, somewhere around there. I think it was in January. So that moved him up. He had been in 4th in our last power ranking, and that moved him up to 2nd. That puts me at 1st, which feels awkward, and I feel like I have to defend it because I don't think I should be 1st. And in fact, I didn't get any first place votes, and that always feels weird in a system where we had 4 different people with first place votes, including and so the reason why Desai wasn't 1st is because his retirement. Otherwise, he would have. You can see his average of 3.18 per voter is better than my 3.21. So assuming people had voted him around the same, he would have been 1st. But very close. You can tell the averages are quite different once you get past that. It always feels weird to me to have someone win or like finish higher with no first place votes, just from cumulative points. And in my defense, in my ranking, I had myself 5th. After the 4 people who got first place votes. I believe I had Bastion 6th right after me. No, actually I put Immel right above him. I put Immel 6th and Bastion 7th. I had myself 5th, and the 4 people I had ahead of me were not in this order necessarily, but MHT, Tom, Hayes, and Justin. The 4 people who had #1 votes. And I submitted my list, or submitted. I wrote my list before I got any other submissions. That's one thing I always do is before seeing anyone else's, I write my own so I don't get biased by someone else's. And so I had the other 4 people. Basically I don't agree with this, and I don't. I feel awkward being like, I won because I don't feel like I deserve it. And nobody picked me as the best player. But the end consensus is people thought I ended up better than the other ones on average. It's weird. I don't know. But anyway, I had the most total number of points. But then MHT, Jemp, Tom, Hayes, Bastion, and Desai were the top 6. All right, so now we get, and I will defend it as why I got more points. I got second to MHT in the Champions League. I made the top 8, in the Champions League, I made the top 8 in the Gem PC where MHT didn't. So that's a reason maybe you would put me above him. And then I made the top 8 at Nationals and scooped to Hayes in the round of 8. So basically, if people were looking at, hey, Joe's one of the top players and recent results were second in the Champions League, top 8 at Gym PC, top 8. I did scrub it in San Diego, but then top 8 at Nationals. And basically, so that's why they sort of consensus voted me around 3rd. And that sort of consensus vote of around 3rd was a little bit more than MHT's. Okay, is this like when Oscar wins a Halloween costume contest? Yes, exactly. They all voted like for themselves, or you couldn't vote for themselves, so they voted for Oscar, thinking no one would vote for Oscar, and so he won with his like mundane costume. I don't completely remember that episode. I think that was the 3-hole punch version of Jim one. So that's our top 6. Next, starting at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we have 4 new allies members in those 5. And we also have a European. And I probably will not be spoiling too much to say the other European in the top 10 besides Bastion is Immel. So Immel is within the next few. In fact, he's number 8. But the other 4 in the next 5 are all new allies players, and they are all very close in points. So let's do a quick contest for anyone listening. Name, and go ahead and look at your own ballots if you submitted one, or previous ranking, which I'll go ahead and just paste in the chat. This was the top 25 from last time. I'm just pasting a link in, so if you're watching this, and you can click on that link, but we're going to do a quick contest where I want you to name those 4 new allies players in order. Who are the best 4 new allies players and what rank are they? And they will get bragging rights over each other. We have the first guest submitted. I actually don't remember what it is. The first guest submitted, we have Greg, Kessling, Drew, Charlie. We have Kessling, Drew, Greg, Charlie, Greg, Kessling, Bill, B-Fred. So we have some votes coming in. I will check if any of those are right, and if they're not, I will let you know. Let's see. Let's go back here. We have... all right, we've got a Drew, Shaw, Charlie. So let's see, what's the correct answer? All right, we have a winner. And let me make sure that was the first person to submit that. Yeah, all right. So we need some kind of prize. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to try and mention that in the marketing channel after this, and probably some kind of GIMP foils or something. I'll make sure the marketing people who can do those things will give a prize, and that goes to Crazy Carl. Gets the order right of Drew. All right, thank you, Dan. Dan is going to get you a prize, Carl. Carl's order of Drew, Charlie, Greg, and Kessling. Oh, wait. Is that right? No. No. Hang on. Yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. I was looking at the wrong column and I was like, wait, did I just mess that up? Um, Drew, Charlie, Greg, Kessling. Yes, Carl is first. Cool, good. I didn't mess it up. Carl has it. Drew, Charlie, Greg, and Kessling. Yeah, let's move that reveal screen. All right, good call. So at number 7 is Drew. Drew moves up 5 spots from number 12, obviously, because I can do basic addition. I think what had happened, Drew was a top 10 in our first poll last summer because he had won. Yeah, he was number 6. He had won the MPC in January of 2022. Then he didn't do so well at Worlds, and so he'd fallen to number 12. And then he won SoCal, so he has risen back into the top 10. He's at number 7, and the most recent New Allies player to win a major. Actually, maybe the most recent New Allies player to win 2 majors. So makes sense that he is the top ranked New Allies player. After him comes Immel. Immel fell a couple spots, and I would attribute that purely to just people rising, like Drew bumping up past him, Tom Struther bumping up past him. I don't think that's a reflection on anyone thinking Immel's skills are any worse. Just a, hey, Jim, Tom, and Drew maybe were underrated in the last poll and bumped up some. So we got Immel there at number 8. Like I mentioned on my ballot, I had him slotted at number 6, just above Bastion. I think Immel and Bastion, it's very, very hard to call which of those might be better on any given day. Bastion, of course, historically, probably the GOAT, but Immel is, if you've ever played Immel, he is a machine. So then we have Charlie bumped out Greg, and then we have Kessling. And there is, I mean, all of these are very close. If you look at their total points, Drew was 1 above Immel, and then just 6 above Charlie. Then Greg's only 3 below that, and Mike's only 5 below that. So just a matter of a handful of points across 14 judges. And Charlie, of course, I think, so Drew first, he won a major. Charlie just got 2nd at Nationals, and I think that's what bumped him up a little bit on everyone's list is making the finals. I think that might have been his first finals of a major. I don't know. I wasn't around when Charlie was doing his first runs in sort of the 2013, 14, like pre-legacy, and then I missed a year of like 2016. So like I don't have a full gap of when Charlie has made some various runs, but I think that might have been his first major finals. And but he was doing awesome at Nationals, so he bumped up there. Greg Shaw, I don't know. Greg's just a solid player. I can't remember his recent results necessarily. I don't think he made top 8 at Nationals, but he did. He had a solid San Diego event. I know he was top 8 there. And I think he did pretty well in the Gym PC as well, unless I'm misremembering. So yeah, Shaw got 3rd at San Diego. So and it was a cut to top 2. So he got 3rd at San Diego. And he made top 8 in the Gym PC, just getting defeated by Kessling. So 3rd at San Diego, top 8 at the Gym PC. Did he top 8 at Nationals too? Oh, he did, didn't he? I'm looking up the deck list because that's a lot of times the easiest way to find results. He did top 8. He was in the bottom half of the bracket with me, so I wasn't. Oh no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was in the top half because I was thinking I'm either going to play Jeff Hayes or teammate or Charlie Gregg, and I put them both on Ross. Yeah, Greg Greg finished he finished second on day one and he made the top eight. So third at San Diego, top eight. I need to be more worried about Greg Shaw is the lesson here. He's sort of flying under my radar because I just take it for granted that he's always doing good. The disrespect, yeah, I do not mean any disrespect. I just like when someone else top eights, it stands out because I'm like, oh, good for them. And when Greg top eights, I'm just like, yeah, of course Greg top eighted. Like that doesn't surprise me. No disrespect was intended. Uh, anyway, Greg Shaw, top eight, San Diego Nationals and Gym PC. Everything he's playing lately is a top eight, apparently. So, yep, solid. And then Kessling, he got second in the Gym PC, losing in the finals to Tom Struther. I do think it would be interesting if he had beaten Tom, where would Tom have fallen in this, and where would Kessling have fallen? I do think that's an interesting bias for Tom, in that I don't think Kessling people would have been like, yeah, Kessling's the number one player in the world and third overall. I do think there's a bias towards and the bias is more just we don't have a lot of data on Tom, so it's hard to be like we don't know how he's really good at in online, and so it's hard to tell. Didn't Greg beat John Anderson? He did. He won the very first event after New Allies was formed was the John Anderson Memorial in 2019, and Greg defeated me in the finals. And then we played mini golf the next day, and he defeated me in mini golf at the Mall of America. Consistency is why I put Greg as my highest New Allies. Yeah, that's a very solid point. He is rarely scrubs out. And I mean, and Worlds too. I mean, I just mentioned San Diego, Gym PC, and Nationals. He all top eighted, but going back to Worlds last year, he also top eighted Worlds. I think he lost to MHT in the round of 8. So yeah, he's just super consistent player. He was in the top 8 of Worlds the year before. Lost to me in the round of 8. So yeah, he all he needs is just like Saturday night tweak. Top 8 OCS last year. Yeah, Greg. There are not a lot of top 8s. He doesn't make. All right, and then Mike Kessling. Yeah, like I said, got top 2 in the Gym PC, and he also is top 8ing and playing quite well recently. He didn't make the top 8 at Nationals. At San Diego, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He got 8. 8th at Nationals. So top 8, or not Nationals, but San Diego. So top 8 at San Diego, second in the Gym PC. So yeah, just real solid results, and that's been for a while now. For about the past 2 years, I feel like Mike Kessling has been just having solid results. All right, number 12. We have a new entrant to the list. Connor Britton. That's why he's highlighted in green there. He is someone who was not in the top 25 last month, and he is in the top 25 this month. I was like, Sean's going to be my new permanent fantasy team member. Oh, yeah. He's on my fantasy team. Oh, are we talking Star Wars? Yeah. He's a good one to choose for that, too. Connor is a new entrant to the top 25 this month. He known as Stubbly online. Some of you might know him as Stubbly. I got a few votes that just said Stubbly. That is interesting nickname. Was given to him by his first girlfriend, I believe. No, I don't know. I don't know why. Why is Connor called Stubbly? Ryan is clapping, presumably for Connor and not for the bad dick joke I made. Connor has been playing very well recently. He made the top 8 at Nationals. He made the top 4 of the Gym PC, um, and he made the top 8 at San Diego. So top 8, top 4, top 8 in the last 3 events. 100% deserves to be in the top 25 players, and coming in at number 12. I think that's a pretty solid result. If he breaks through with a finals table like Charlie did, you can see why Charlie's rated a few above, because he does have that second place finish. But if Connor can break through, get a second, get a first or a win, I think he'll bump up into the top 10 there. But it's a good spot for him to debut at. Yeah, I said it so matter of factly you believed it. That the girlfriend named him Stubbly. Oh, no, I have no inside information about that. When Greg wins Worlds, it will be a good day for Star Wars. I agree. There are a number of people. There's a number of people you root for just because they're great people, and it doesn't matter if they're on a different team. It doesn't matter if like you still want to see them win. And Greg Shaw is 100% one of those type of people. Mike Kessling, I would love to see him make day 2, day 3, whatever you call it, of Worlds this year. Same with Charlie. Charlie's another. He's just a great guy, and I just root for him. I've said multiple times, I think he's the best active player to have never won a major, and I think he's long overdue. So yeah, these are, and it's probably no coincidence that I just mentioned our 3 new allies people here, and Drew, great guy too, obviously, but he has won multiple majors recently, so fuck him. I'm kidding, of course, but it's no coincidence that new allies, just a great group of people. We even the people who aren't on their team root for them. Kessling for the Outrider Cup. Yeah. Outrider Cup is coming up this year in about 6 months. Drew, Joe hates Drew. I actually don't. Drew's actually probably, if I had to pick anyone in the community that I could spend more time with, it would be Drew. And because I think Drew and I think very similar. I think we have a lot of similar philosophies. Oh, Dan, don't worry, you're number 42 on my list. So right there. Drew, I think just would be fun to talk life and philosophy and that sort of things with. I would love to just have a weekend of non-Star Wars cards, hanging out with getting into real deep conversations with Drew. Oh, Dan, you could come too. We would love to have you as well in this made-up fantasy weekend that I just invented. All right, Connor. Yep, getting back on track. Connor. Drew is an amazing tour guide. I believe you. Connor with his top 8, top 4, top 8 comes in at number 12. All right, next we have Jeff Levine. Jeff goes up 4 spots. Jeff, so this is I don't know. I don't even know where to start here. Jeff, actually, let me go back to the first poll we did, which was last summer, but since it was done a decade ago. And Jeff came in pretty high because he had just won indoor. He got first place in indoor, and then he got top 4 at nationals. So he came in pretty high, and then he didn't do well at Worlds, and so he fell in the rankings. Because this is sort of how you want to do it. Newer players that you have less information on, you have to sort of adjust on the fly as you get more data. So he fell after not performing well at Worlds, and then he made the top 8 at Nationals, which was right before this poll. And further, he right now in the first 2 OCS months, he is 22-2. He has the best ranking of anyone so far between those 2 months. MHT is second right now. He's 21-3. MHT is 21-3, but Jeff is 1 game better at 22-2. 22 wins and 2 losses in the 2 OCS months, which is just insane. And then a top 8 at nationals. So rankers sort of said, yep. There was one person who said he doesn't make my top 25, but other than that, And I think that was the same here with Bastion. Can you guys see my mouse cursor when I like move it around like that? I don't remember if I have that turned on or off. I think I have it on. But with Bastion here, I think one person just thought he wasn't active and said he was retired. But Jeff is sort of the first person where someone actively, I was like, did you forget this person? They're like, nope. So I disagreed there because I think that 22-2 and a top 8 is a solid top 25 player. So next we have another new entrant to this month's list, and that is Kieran. Solid European player. He goes by Ketwool online, and of course we've discussed many different times the sort of US bias this list has, and so we won't go over that again, but Kieran played in the Gym PC and he made the top 4, losing to Mike Kessling in the round of 4, and so he came in at spot number 14 as the 3rd European after Bastion and Immel. All right. Next, we have Justin Branch, another European. He goes by Silverglyn. Fell a couple spots from his previous. I think he just hasn't done a lot lately. He did do decent in the March OCS. I seem to remember him playing and like starting out with a 9-0 or 10-0 run or something, but then fell just short at the end of the month. But yeah, he did he even play in? I'm not sure if he played in the Gym PC and got knocked out. I don't have the bracket easily handy, but I think he just a combination of not playing a lot lately and not having real big results. Oh, so thank you, Kyle. He went 11-1 in that March OCS. So he was going for 12-0. He dropped one of his, I think it was one of his last 2 because I thought he started like 9-0 or 10-0. Just fell short, so he would have been right behind Jemp Tom as another 11-1 player. So solid result there, but no top 8s, or that's just 1 month in the OCS. No top 8s. No GPC results. It was his final game. You were the one. Wow. So he started 11-0, and then you just crushed his dreams. Rude. I mean, that's the way to do it. That's what makes it fun. 1 month I started 10-0 and then dropped 2 games to finish 10-2, and I was just like, that's so frustrating. But yeah, that means all that means is Tom Struther and Justin Branch are still hungry and gonna crush some people. Enjoyed playing against Justin. Looking forward to Euros Worlds. Yeah. Also, Justin, being British, has a great accent, so he's just fun to talk to. Good guy. All right, number 16, we've got Brian Fred. B-Fred fell a lot here. You can see he was 16 minus 9. He was 7th in the last poll, and I think he's not on top of his game. Let's put it that way. Peak B-Fred is a multiple major winner. He's won indoor. He's made many final tables. But part of it, I think, his heart hasn't been into it. He hasn't gotten as much testing sometimes as he needs. With Matt Scott or whatever, can be hit or miss on availability. And so B-Fred is one of those players where it's like if he's on his game, he's super dangerous. But I think over the last 6 months, he hasn't been. He doesn't play a lot online, and I think that also hurts him. He doesn't, he just doesn't enjoy the online play as much. And when everyone else is sort of playing online, he's not as practiced, but also then he just doesn't get those results when you see people, finishing high in the Gym PC and he's not even playing. That sort of hurts him in these type of polls. But yeah, I think he didn't top 8 at San Diego. I don't think he did play in the Gym PC, but I think he was knocked out real early, and he didn't attend nationals. So Fred fell quite a bit relative to everyone else. Then we have 17, another first-time debuter. I believe we have 5 people debuting on the list for the first time. This is the 3rd one. Anthony Howard, aka Batmouse. If this were a ranking of barbecuers, he would be number one. He had a phenomenal run in both the Gem PC. He made a top four. I think he lost to Tom Struther in the semifinals. So he got top four in the Gym PC, and he made top. I don't want to say top eight, but I actually think it's top four because he won his first round. Yeah, he against Jeff. So he made top four at nationals as well. So with back-to-back top fours, one online and one in person, Batmouse and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And he finished ninth. He was a bubble at San Diego. So ninth in San Diego, and then top four is certainly enough to rank him, at least for 12 of the 14 judges, as a top 25 player. He who seeds. All right. Next up, we have Eric Hunter. Eric, we had 10 of the 14 people rank him. He fell a few spots. Eric is, I think, sort of one of those players that's like I mentioned with Beefred. If he's on it, like if Eric has time for Star Wars cards, he's one of the best players in the world. Hayes always says that Eric is better than he is. I know Justin Desai respects Eric a whole lot. But he's also a lesser known quantity for a lot of people, not the non-old school players. The newer online players don't necessarily, I mean, they've played Otoy Toy a few times when Eric tends to F around with ridiculous nonsense tech. My kind of scum, he'll be like, I want to try these guard. I got an idea for how these guards are going to be broken, and he just plays like silly stuff. So people see him, but don't necessarily know the raw power of Eric. But the last in-person major he was at was the MPC 2022, where he took second place to Drew. So people sort of have him in their mind in that perpetually like sort of mid 10 to 20 range, real solid player, but doesn't play a lot. And I think that's a fair, like well-deserved ranking spot for him. Eric does play. Yep. One of the first people to reach out to you and give you tips. Eric is all, yeah. Oh, for sure. Eric is just like a super nice guy. He's a super tall guy, a super nice guy. Who? Yes. But yeah, I think that's a fair ranking. He's not active enough to frankly place a whole lot higher. Then we have another debut person, Sam Toshima, aka Yoshi. Very well deserved being in the top 25. I think he has been underrated for a long time, and I think that just for a selfish reason, in that whenever I play him, it's never an easy game, and he beats me like way more than someone who up until nationals had never had a top 8, and for someone who had never had a top 8 and he just like beat me a lot. Like he's a very good player, and I've been expecting for a while for him to sort of have a good breakout tournament, and he did. And that was nationals where he made top 4, and of course he only got knocked out because he got paired against a teammate, Charlie, in the round of 8. Charlie went on to finish second. So Sam had a great nationals result, and I think a lot of people recognized he is a very, very solid player and definitely a top 25 pick. We had 11 of the 14 judges rank Sam. He got way better than last year. I think he's been consistently getting, and then that's one thing I will say about Sam is he has not reached his ceiling. There are some other players who I think have sort of peaked, or maybe they could grow a little bit, but Sam is still like rapidly improving, and I see that when I play him. And Yeah, Sam's scary. I think he has a lot of potential. He's already really good, and I think he has even more potential. So I think not only has he got way better in the last year and the last several years, but is poised for even more growth potentially. Yeah. Um, yeah. Greg says all the new allies knows new Sam is due for a strong showing. I'm right there with you. I had been thinking very similarly. Sam, he's a very precise player, and I think when you talk about floors and ceilings, some people's ceilings are capped because they're too risk averse, and some people's ceilings are capped because they're too risky. And I think Sam has a strong balance, and he's still figuring that out. But he has a strong balance of he used to play too conservative, I would say, and he's loosened up a little bit. And so now he's a very scary player because I think he's figuring out that balance of aggressiveness and cautiousness because you don't want to take risks when you don't have to, but sometimes you need to know when to. And yeah. All right. So Sam, great player making his debut there at number 19. Now we are at number 20. Another player making their debut, another European, and that is Kun. He is, I want to say, from Belgium. Could be the Netherlands. Someone. Does anyone know for sure? I hope I'm not. I should. I just shouldn't have guessed. That was dumb. I just shouldn't have ventured because there's no upside. If I'm right, it's like yeah, of course he is, and if I'm wrong, it's like you. How insulting. Um, he Dutch. I think he's part of the Dutch community. Yeah, I mean that last name looks Dutch. Uh, Belgium's right next to the Netherlands, so he could live in. I thought he lived in Belgium, was Dutch, and that's why I said Netherlands. Also, hopefully that's not too insulting. I mean that may be like an Australia New Zealand thing where it's like, oh, did Australian gets all offended if you call him a Kiwi. I don't. Hopefully, a Dutch person doesn't get all offended if you call him Belgium. They might though. There might be a huge rivalry that I don't know about. But ignorant American. Hopefully, Cohen, I didn't insult you too much there. Phenomenal player. We do have that U.S. bias, and this is something I mentioned in the Slack chat is that we had a bunch of players who didn't quite make the list, and I'll go ahead and just name some of them right here. We're gonna show everyone who got a vote in a minute, but other European players like I'm on the wrong tab. Like Tom Damon, Jonas Hagen, and Stefan DeVos. And each of them got a couple of votes and sort of split among because it's hard when you're making this top 25 and you're trying to say, well, is Tom Damon better than Con? Is Stefan DeVos better than Tom? Like who? And especially the Europeans probably have a better gauge on that, but it's you end up making a hard call of thinking, I think this one's, and so then you can see Cohen only got 5 votes, but Stefan got another couple and Tom got, and it's like they kind of have a split vote problem where we're going like, I know one of the good Europeans needs to be here, but it's hard for me to tell which one's better. But the collective wisdom of the judges this time was Cohen being at number 20. Next, we have Timo, another European. He goes by Dylan online. I'm guessing he's a big fan of James Dillon. Let's go with that. Timo is a perpetual OCS finisher. In the first 2 days, he's probably finished right now as we speak. Let's go check the standings. He is I was joking about being finished because it's the first day here, but he has the most number of games played out of anyone as I say this. So he And he's always a tough competitor, finishes well, one of the top online Europeans along with Silverglen. I believe he's only played one major ever. I think Euros was his first major. So he hasn't played in person much. So he does need to work out some of those kinks, the manipulation, like especially it comes to when tracking destinies, right? Online, you have a count of how many cards are in your reserve deck, and in person you got to physically count, and you learn the little tricks of like, cool, I 3PO at the end of my turn, and then I'm gonna go to recirculate. I just pick up my reserve, I move it underneath, and I'm still holding my reserve, and I activate to that without even having to counter do anything. Like those little like physical movements that anyone who plays in person gets used to. So yeah, solid online player, making that transition to in-person, finishes at 21st. Next we have Bill Kafer. Bill comes in at 22, known as Taco William online. He falls some. He had, I feel like, a really strong, a decent 2020, a really strong 2021, a decent 22. So like he had a few years where he was sort of up in this, like 10 to 15 range. He was getting a number of top eights, some top fours, and then just lately fell off a little. Didn't we didn't attend San Diego or Nationals. I don't think he did. He didn't top eight at in the Gym PC and or Worlds, and so I think he's just sort of been falling a little bit due to that, and just due to relative performance of everyone else, right? Like having people like Kuhn, Sam, Batmouse, Connor, these people who debuted on the list, all with more recent better finishes, has sort of caused him to fall relative to them. Bill was at Nationals. Bill was at Nationals. I talked to him a bunch. I gave him cards that he bought from me. Um, I do remember he loaned me 4 ultra rares. What a nice guy. Um, uh, I don't know. I don't know why I thought Bill wasn't at Nationals, but I also said Greg didn't top 8 Nationals, and he clearly did because the night before I was trying to figure out what he was going to play. So that's just me talking without thinking. I definitely remembered Bill being there and having opinions on what color his jacket is. It's gray, by the way. I don't know if that comes out online. Jacket's gray. Bill won the Constellation. That's right. In fact, I played Taco Bill on stream. He was TTO, and I went and blew up his Death Star with a concussion missiles on my Falcon. But he didn't top 8, and so I think that's why he fell. Had he top 8'd, I think he would be in the top 20 for sure, maybe in the top 15. he drank a chili dog beer. Yeah, no. I stuff comes back to me. I remember now. All right. But yeah, but he did not top 8 is the point. Didn't attend San Diego, I don't think. Now that I'm saying that, I'm gonna be like, did he? Maybe he did. Maybe he did, and memories will start coming back for that. No, he didn't. Great. Cool. Didn't attend San Diego, didn't top 8 Gym PC or Nationals, so fell a little bit, but he's a top 25 player and perpetually a threat to top 8. All right, number 23, we have Johnny Chu. Johnny, the other contender for GOAT with Bastion, and only ranked by 4 people. And that's just due to inactivity, people basically saying, yeah, you're not really an active player. He played at Worlds, but it was because his sons were playing. He did not top 8. It was his first ever post-reset event out of 12. He was like 11-0 or 10-0 in top 8ing events. And then it was his first time he did not, because he's not that into the game. He wasn't prepped for it. He was helping his sons get ready and stuff. And so he didn't top 8, but then he won the Constellation. But he hasn't played since. He plays online in various sealed formats and various retro formats and things like that. But he doesn't necessarily play open really much, if ever. And so most people, most judges just said, all right, choose sort of in his own category of like one of the best ever. And if he actually comes back and competes, he'll instantly be a definitely a top 10, probably a top 5 player. If someone said, hey, Johnny Chu is going to spend the summer prepping for Worlds, he really wants to win. Now let's make a top 5 ranking of who's most likely to win Worlds. He would be in the top 5. So, but he comes in at 23 for those reasons. Then next we have Zimowit, another European, a Polish player, and he, yeah, he's sort of just there on the fringe, basically. He goes by Cryptophis online, and he's a very solid player, but also just hasn't been super active lately. And I think he made top 16 at the Gem PC. He wasn't top 8, and so yeah, he's just we've got a 6 people who ranked him and said, yep, Zimowit's a solid top 25 player, but hasn't had results in a little while. And then we have our last new entrant. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 new entrants. At spot number 25 is Daniel Amor. Amor, of course, French for love, because we all love Daniel. He goes by Heisenberg online. The conspiracy for a long, long time was that either Heisenberg was a bot, or that Heisenberg, he was at San Diego. He didn't attend San Diego. He streamed. Oh, Bill Kafer. Yeah, Bill remotely streamed. Thank you. Yeah, Heisenberg. There were 2 conspiracy theories for a long time. One is that he was a bot, the first bot before RandoCal came out, and then the other conspiracy theory was that he was Warren Holland's Star Wars CCG Jump account. Warren Holland, of course, being the original Decipher owner and creator, company that created Star Wars CCG. Those 2 rumors panned out not to be true when Daniel showed up to US Nationals 2021 in Denver and met the community, and has since, and even before that, but has been a stalwart member of the community. He finished second at San Diego. He has a newborn baby, was actually just a few weeks old at San Diego, so now probably about 5 months old, maybe. So he's got a very tiny baby at home, so he doesn't have the opportunity to travel a whole lot, but San Diego luckily was in his hometown. He got to attend, and then he crushed it, finished first in the main event, and then lost to Drew in the finals. So very solid player, very solid results at San Diego, bumped him onto our list. All right, we have gone just over an hour, so we're gonna next do the 26 to 60. Everyone else who got points, and we'll do that quicker because we don't need to say stuff about all of them. Or do we? No, we don't. Let's make that not as tiny. Let's do that. Let's do 26 to 60. Make it bigger. Woo, not that big. All right. Okay. Good list, €7 is solid. Oh yeah. I should let's look at the whole list for just a second. So we have myself, MHT, Tom Struther, Hayes Hunter, Bastion, Justin Desai, Drew Immel, Charlie Gregg, Kessling Connor, Jeff Levine, Kieran, Justin Branch, Brian Fred, Batmouse, Eric Hunter, Sam Tashima, Kun, last name, Timo, Bill Kafer, Johnny Chu, Zimowit, and Daniel. Um, yeah, that is 7 European players. I'm assuming Ryan Searson said 7, and I believe him. Nobody named Chris is wild. Yeah, so Chris Werfs is so underrated. He is a phenomenal player. And in fact, I'm gonna look up real quick. It was in the Marvel Snap channel recently, uh, so I can find it pretty easily. And I said this was back April 21st, a couple weeks ago. I said, uh, oh, we were having a local, an indoor local, and there was some Marvel Snap tournament that Taco Bell linked to, and I said, oh, some online Marvel Snap tournament, and I was like, I got a Star Wars local tomorrow, and Dan said, my money's on Werfs to win it, and I said, me too. Werfs is super underrated, as I said when I did the last top 25 poll, and Tartag was like, yeah, I agree, super underrated, but he hasn't done anything lately. And I said, well, he went 6-2 at Worlds, only missing the top 8 by a play-in game. He made top 8 in the Champions League. So I don't know. I think basically, and then he didn't make top 8 at San Diego, and he didn't play at Nationals. But yeah, the fact that he went 6-2 at Worlds and got top 8 in the Champions League, most people would be pretty happy with that result, I think. But the problem is, like, the problem always with these rankings is like, how do you fit everybody, right? Like, Werfs is underrated, but probably there's people in the 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 range who all feel like they're a top 20. It feel, you hear their name and you're like, yeah, they're super underrated. They should be a top 25 player. So it's hard. Please tell me who is overrated. I'm tired of hearing how good and underrated everyone is, excluding yourself. Okay, yeah, I did say I'm overrated. Who else do I say is overrated on this list? Um, Silver Glenn, I think is overrated. I think 15. I think he should be top 25. Um, and um, I did have him in my top 25. I didn't have him in my top 15. Um, he just hasn't done a lot lately. Brian Fred, 16. As I said earlier, I think his peak uh, is a top 5 player. But when we talk power rankings and like current level, I think he's just and self-admittedly he says the same thing. He's not in try hard mode. Um, uh, True. I mean, because I don't count him as active. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because like everybody, like you go, Connor, just had great results. Like it's hard to say he's not a top 15 player. Um, Charlie 9, Greg 10, like that. Those seem legit. They're top 10 players. They both. Shaw's a perpetual. We just went and talked about how Shaw is constantly a top 8. And how would you say he doesn't deserve to be in the top 10? You know what I mean? Like, um, so yeah, that's anyway. I gave you a couple hot takes. Anyone else want to say who else is overrated? I should be ranked 0. Yeah. Werfs was on my list. Carl says Werfs. Good job. There were 5 people who had Werfs on their list. Um, Werfs I think is very underrated. Okay, let's look. But overall, I mean, like we were saying, it's hard to narrow it down to 25. Overall, I think this is a solid list. These are 25 of the top Star Wars players in the world. All right, cool. Let's go um, to the 26 range. All right. So next we have, you have a issue. Oh yeah. If you have an issue with the list, submit one to me. Yeah, get your vote counted. But I did and still do. So what now? You submit a list and still have an issue. Actually, so going to the rankers real quick. Ryan Searson is the most accurate ranker of everybody. If you want to know how good a player is, go ask Ryan Searson. He this month of those 25 players, he got 23 of them correct. There was only 2 players on there that were not in his top 25, and they were probably like 26 and 27 in his mind. He was the only one with 23 correct. There was one person with 22, a couple 21s, a few 20s, a 19, 2 19s, and an 18. But yeah, most people were around 20, 21 correct. Searson got 23. He was the only person to have 23. And last time in the fall, Searson had 22. Which was tied for first. There were 4 people who had 22 correct. He was tied for first then. And in the summer, the first one, which is the most volatile one, that actually had the most number of people getting votes. As we're sort of honing in and doing and figuring out how we decide our votes, that sort of thing. Searson had 23. He was one of only 2 people to have 23. He tied again for highest, and only 2 out of the 19 rankers had 23. So he finished with 23, 22, 23 in first place every single time we've done this poll. So I might just next time skip doing the poll and just poll Ryan Searson and publish that as the result. Because, geez, that dude knows who's good, or at least he knows who everyone else thinks will be good. He knows what the consensus is. So we just ask Searson. Carl says, Ryan, do I make the top 100? Being able to predict what other people picked is not the same as accurately predicting who the best players actually are. That's true. That is true. Unless you say the wisdom of the crowds. If you say the final result is fairly accurate, then being able to predict what the final result is should also be fairly accurate. But it is true. He's not necessarily the best at predicting who is the best. He's the best at predicting who everyone says the best is. Either way, pretty impressive. Carl, all hail the stink bug king. That's right. All right. So the bubble. I'll show more than just. I won't go one at a time. I'll try to resist the impulse. But the bubble was Jeremy. He had been on the list last time. So there will be 6 people highlighted in red. They were the 6 people who were on the list last time who fell off because, of course, we had 6 new entrants. That means 6 people had to fall off. They will be highlighted in red here. The people who made the list last time and did not this time. Jeremy barely fell off, and that was just because he debuted towards the bottom of the list last time due to his top 8 at Worlds finish, and prior to that he had finished top 8 at the Seattle Grand Prix. So he had back-to-back top 8s in majors that he played in, and since then he just hasn't necessarily played a lot. He real life, it's hard to travel to all these events. He just he didn't attend. So he just sort of fell off relative, I think, to everyone else moving up. So when you're adding people like Stubley, like Batmouse, like Kieran, like Sam Toshima onto your list, people will fall relative to that. And so that's the only reason why he didn't make the cut. He still finished, of course, with 7 of the 14 people ranking him. So half the judges thought he should be in the top 25. And including myself, I had him in my top 25 this month. So I thought he should still be ranked, but I understand why he just fell off due to just other people passing him, for lack of a better phrase. And we had, pretty sure I had Jeremy, I did. He and Jellison were my picks that didn't make it. I had Jellison too. So Ryan, who got 23 of the 25, said Jeremy, was Jeremy and Jellison were his picks that didn't make it. So he had the bubble, but then also Jellison was at 30. So if we look at next the 26 to 30 range, we have Jeremy, we have Chris Kelly, we have Stefan DeVos. Stefan was a European I had that didn't quite make the list, but he won, I want to say like Raltier regionals recently or Ryloth, one of those alien planet sounding regionals. I guess they're all alien planets, right? Alderaan, Tatooine. Does Alderaan count as an alien planet, or is that like the Earth equivalent? Are they all like humans? Like Alderaanian is a species, but is that kind of like just human? Does that count as an alien planet? Anyway, Endor. Those are all alien planets. So I said Ryloth and Raltier. Those sound more exotic. Ryloth. Kuhn won Ryloth. Okay. Well, I know Stefan won one of the events, one of the European events, and this is what I was saying earlier when you're trying to decide like is Stefan better than Kuhn? Like they both won different European regionals lately. They're both phenomenal players. One just made the list and one just missed the cut. It's very hard to say. Alderaanians are humans like Corellians and Coruscanti. Is Coruscanti a real word, or did you just make that up? I believe you because you've read so many of those Star Wars books and like remember them. Coruscanti. The big question is who will win the Scarif regionals? It's a real word. I hope. I'm counting it. It's a word in our hearts. Coruscanti. 100% real word. No question. No question. Who's going to win? There is a new Scarif region. It is SoCal plus Vegas plus Arizona. And who will win that one? Who's the best SoCal player? I'm trying to remember. Jellison? Let's see. I'm trying to think of who is. We got Schoenthal. We got Connor's down there though too. Connor and Jellison are both. And then Batmouse. We got a couple top 25 players down there. So that's hard to say. Hard to predict. All right. So then we have Kipple. Chris Kelly fell, and I think that's again just due to relative activity. He's an adult with a life, and most of his Star Wars time is spent on making the game wonderful for us. I've seen a lot of posts as a member of the competitive balance team. Seen a lot of posts recently by him, not necessarily about CBT issues, but I have access to like the upcoming card list because new cards that are coming out will affect the current meta, right? So when you're deciding like, does Obi Muning need a tweak? And I don't think I'm breaking Fight Club to say that obviously like CBT is talking about a top decks, right? So we constantly are, but when you say does Obi Muning need a tweak, well then you want to look at here's cards coming up and how will those affect it and stuff. And so I see a flurry of activity from him being like here's new V21 cards and here's edits to these ones and and so he spends a lot of time on that which affects his performance, but we all appreciate him. And then we have Brad Kipple, who gets solid online results, but doesn't really play in person. Is he training Crazy Carl? They are on team. It could be worse. I came up with it. I got there. Team It Could Be Worse together. Team Fake Worse. It could be worse. Yeah. Okay. I said it before the chat came up because there's probably some lag in my stream to you guys. I did get it before anyone said it in chat. My mind was stuck on Moneyball, and I was like, it's not Moneyball. Anyway, so yeah, Chris Kelly. I'm sure Carl's seen some growth from talking with Chris Kelly and JJB, also on that team. Great player. He talks me out of bad choices usually. Are those bad choices that Kendall is giving you? All right. Then next, let's look at 31 to 40. We have Chris Werfs, who we mentioned earlier. Phil Austin is awesome. He made top 8 at San Diego, but not enough to bump him in the top 25 in people's minds. We have Tom Damon, another European, Kyle Kruger, Dennis Reinhardt, Ryan Searson, the Stinkbug King, J-Nap, our amazing marketing advocate, Casey, Jonas, another Euro, and Tom Haid, former world champion. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are 5 of the 6 people who dropped off from last time, mostly, like I said, due to lack of recent results and inactivity. And then for the rest of the list, we've got Chris Hull, aka, and the rest, 41 through 47, are all people who appeared on one ballot. One person thought, yeah, this is a top 25 player, and probably a whole lot more had them in their like consideration list, and not one of their top 61st card cuts. So we have Chris Hull, aka Joker King. We have Justin Miyashiro, who goes by JagTech or Hazardville on various Slack forums, Jump. I never remember which one of those two he uses, JagTech and Hazardville. Then we have Matt Carulli, who is a Pittsburgh player, goes by Quick Draw and some numbers, but Quick Draw. And then we have Matt Scott, who got second at Worlds a couple years ago. We have Gavin Ortland, aka Gavino, on Jump. He perpetually has some solid OCS results, but doesn't play in person. We have Dan Tartaglione, who Dan says, Matt Crewley, who was drunk and submitted him, the same guy who voted for you. We have Dan Tartaglione, our fearless Hollow Theater host, and then Brad Reinhold. Actually, Brad should be highlighted in pink here. I think probably the conditional formatting just didn't drag down far enough. He was the other one who was on the list last time. He's sort of like Jeff in that he had real solid indoor and national results last year, to where and we didn't have data on Brad or Jeff, and then they both Brad got second at both of them, and Jeff won one, and then top 4 the other one, and so they both debuted pretty high on the initial list last summer, and then neither of them did well at Worlds, so they both fell on the second list, but were still on there. And then since then, Brad just hasn't played at all, so he fell off the list, and Jeff, meanwhile, got top 8 at nationals and went 22-2 in the OCS, and so he rose back on the list, whereas Brad fell more. So that's sort of you see the contrast of like, well, they performed really well and then they fell off, and then one did better and one did worse, and so you see how they sort of rise and fall in these rankings. The last thing, yeah. I guess we could probably call it there. It's been almost an hour and a half. So we have, let's just do the top 25 one more time. This will all be posted on the forums. But yeah, Jeff was motivated after losing to you last year at Worlds. Yeah, that's something that's hard to come back from. Actually, I thought you did pretty well at the Constellation, didn't you? So yeah, thanks everybody who participated in submitting. Thanks everyone who hung out watching, and hopefully everyone had fun with these power rankings, and they're silly, meaningless, but fun to look at. Can I borrow some burn ointment? Carl snubbed. Carl did not get any top 25 votes. So the problem is, if we went down to 50, so we're showing, let's see, we show 47 different people, but this is not the top 47, because if the top 47, like, I guarantee there would be more players if we ranked our top 50, then we'd probably have, like 100 players who make, or 150 people who make someone's top 50. We'd have a lot more Europeans. And so it's like, these are all people who someone considered to be a top 25 player, and they're going, well, Carl's maybe not quite in my top 25, but he's a solid player. And Carl's another one who's like, he's getting better, because like he was rookie of the year last year, and he's improving. And that's sort of the interesting part, is looking at some of these this 26 to 47 range, someone considered a top 25 player and who is improving, who's sort of hit their ceiling, who's, and who's like Phil Austin, for example. His ceiling is first place at Worlds, and we know that because he won Worlds. Same with I was going to say same with someone like a Tom Haid right here at number 40. He won Worlds. Their ceilings are huge, but they don't necessarily play a lot. Phil almost never plays online. Tom Haid, I don't think I can't even think of what's his champ name. So anyway, yeah, we got players who their ceiling is very high. They just don't play a lot. Then we've got other players who are like getting better, and then we've got other players who they've sort of played at that level for a long time, and in order to bump up to the next level, they would need a change. They would need something to elevate their game. And I won't speculate necessarily on what that is. For a lot of people, it's just time, right? For a lot of people, it's just availability of being able to play more, being able to attend more events, that sort of thing. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of people who are in the range, not just the people listed here, people might not consider them quite a top 25 player, but they're a solid player who easily could make that jump. Like 6 people did this month, like Connor, like Batmouse, Kieran, Sam, Kuhn, Daniel, who they were not necessarily considered a top 25 player, but were a solid player who made that jump. Xanth is Hayden. That's right, Xanth. Thank you for reminding me of that. So he plays sometimes, but I feel like I don't think he plays in the OCS. I don't feel like he plays a whole lot, and so that's sort of he's got a lot going on in real life between his various card shops, businesses that he runs. So it's sort of you do got me. Thank you. It's sort of one of those things where a lot of players it's time. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good night.